Yo, what's going on, people? Today we are out here in Pennsylvania. You see that flag dangling off my mirror there? And that would be because we are oversized today. Actually, technically, I've already been oversized for 2 days. Yeah, no, this is the third day. Something like that. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's not the point of the video. Basically, this load here is on its way out to Massachusetts, and I am assuming that it is like a job site type of a situation. I think I'm gonna pass this guy. Actually, maybe not. But yeah, the oversized load here. I've only had 3 oversized loads in my year and some change. I don't think it's really a year and a half yet, but we'll just go year and some change. In that time, I've had 3 oversized loads, including this one, and the rest of them have just been I-beams, and they have a couple of beams that stick off the back or something like that. The first one I ever got was way longer than the second one that I got, and now this load is the first load that I've ever had that is oversized on the sides, which means that you have to drive a little differently. You see how I'm riding this yellow line over here? It's because I got about, I think it's 8 inches on either side extra, and basically I'm gonna break it down to you with what the deal is with oversized loads, because I had never understood with the other 2 oversized loads that I had, it was going through a couple of states, and I needed 3 permits, and they were all there, and you just grab them and go, and it's good to go. It was nothing out of the ordinary, because everything is essentially inside the trailer except for the back there. And now with this one, it's a little bit different, because I had to figure out how to chain outside of the trailer and bring it back into the middle, which I'd probably show you how I did that. It might be a little complicated to do a little video editing or something like that, but basically it's pretty much the same dang thing as far as securement is concerned. And yeah, basically they just set it up when I was at the place that I picked this stuff up at in Minneapolis, Minnesota. They just put it smack dab in the middle, and they were like, all right, you're good to go, do what you gotta do, and I just got to it. And now you might be thinking to yourself, what is the deal with flags and lights and all of that stuff? Is that stuff really necessary, or are they just doing that for show? And the answer to that question is, it actually says on your permits what each state requires. And now the underlying fact of this whole video is going to be, read your permits front to back, and they have a full route planned out for me on those permits of roads that are, I guess you could say, verified or something to that extent. They're verified to have the oversized load on it at that time. And that, from a company driver standpoint, the company handles all of that stuff. They probably have a permit department that just handles all the permits, but they get them all set up and they send them to you. Now, my company pays, I believe it's 9 cents a mile extra for oversized, and with the other 2 loads that I had, I didn't really understand. They were so simple and easy that I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm just getting paid extra money for no reason, basically. I got to pay a little bit more attention, but you know, it's pretty cool. Just grab permits, make sure you're watching yourself when you're turning, and that's really it. And now with this load, I had a certain amount of permits when I left, and then they were going to send me the rest of them when they got them. And if you were to just take off and leave, not knowing which permits you had and like what they were, like if you were even allowed to travel at certain times or all sorts of stuff like that, basically you could get in a world of trouble. And I had permits for, I believe it was Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, and I believe I had my Ohio permits as well, which left Pennsylvania, New York, Connecticut, and Massachusetts still. So there's a whole lot of permits that I got in my truck right now just to have this thing go the 1,300 miles or something like that. I mean, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but the states out here, at least, they don't really last all that long. And I'm sure that they'll, in an orientation type of a setting, they'll probably break it down to you, like what you're supposed to do with oversized loads or whatever, but, I don't know. I can't totally remember all of what they told us, but basically here's the breakdown while you're driving is when you are oversized, you are allowed to use as much of the road as you deem necessary to drive this load properly. And that means if you're going through like a construction zone or something like that, I did that yesterday in Ohio, and the lanes are real skinny, and then they got a barrel right next to the end of the lane. You can't hit the barrels, obviously, so you gotta kind of drive right on the lane divider there and like almost split the lane. And I had a couple of guys actually pass me, which was probably the dumbest thing I've ever seen, but they made it past, and like it was all good after that. Like I just freaked out for a second and got over it. But yeah, outside of stuff like that, every scale that's open, it doesn't matter what light you get for it or whatever on like your pre-pass or whatever. If it turns green, pull in. If it turns red, pull in. Whatever it tells you, it doesn't matter. If the scale is open, pull in. And the scales that I've gone through so far, they've all given me like the go-ahead to just keep. What's going on up here? They've all given me the go-ahead to just keep going. And at that point, since I've had the little bit of experience with the other two oversized loads, I know that all they really want to see when I'm coming through the scale is my permits. So I basically just hold them up in the air and like I'm just kind of being like, hey, I got them. Like, if you want to see them, here they are, essentially. I mean, they didn't pull me in or anything like that to weigh me or whatever. And if they did, it's, I'm just oversized. I'm not overweight. The whole load weighs, I think it's like 8,100 pounds, which is incredibly light, and I'm pretty much just smoking people on hills out here. It's great. It's kind of fun. But yeah, there wouldn't be any issues with the weight or anything like that. They just want to see your permits when you come through the scale. So pull into every single scale that's open, every single time. Don't be like, oh, like I got the green light and pull past, because they will come and get you and you will get a fine for it. I mean, actually, I should probably watch what I'm saying. I don't know if you get a fine for it. That's what I'm assuming would happen, because they want to see your permits. They don't want to have to come and get you. They want you to, be a professional and show them what you got ahead of time, rather than them having to make a big fuss about it. What else? Oh yes, as far as flags go, Again, reading your permits, very, very important, because some states, they don't require much, and other states require a whole bunch. Let's see if I can think of an example. I don't know. Some states have like they want certain color flags, certain like width and height of flags. They want like certain size text on your banners. They want like all this crazy stuff. And basically what I've got set up is good for, as far as I'm concerned, any state that I'm going to travel through. And that means I've got 2 flags on my fender mirrors, which I believe they basically say like, oh, two flags at the nose of the truck or something like that. And then they want a banner up there as well. So I got that up there, and basically that's just to let people know, like, if you're coming towards them, like, hey, this thing's a little bigger than you thought it is, or like you might have a, like, they know how big a normal semi truck is, but you want them to understand that you're a little bigger than that. And also you got to have your beacon lights on, which are like the lights that I mean, it's different on all different types of trucks and companies, but usually it's... Sorry about that, got a call. But yeah, beacon lights. Basically those are just these little yellow or orange, wherever you want to go with, little spinny lights up on the top of your truck. And that's basically another thing, same as the banner and flags up front, just to get people's attention, let them know like something is weird with what you're doing. I've also got 4 flags on the outermost extremities. I believe that's how they put it in the permits. They said put flags on the outermost extremities of the load. I've got those. I hooked my flag through my bungee and then to the chain, and then just wound it around there, kept it on good. And they're all still on there, so it must have worked evidently. And then I've got an oversized banner on the back, and that is basically my whole setup with the truck. And that's good for every state that I'm going to. And for some states, it's actually overkill. Some states aren't as, they don't, some of them it's like colors they want different. Some of them they don't care about, like the flags up front. Some of them, what's a different one? Like I think some of them didn't even care, like if you had lights on or something like that. I don't know. I set it up so that it'd be good for every single state that I went through. I don't gotta change a thing. Like I just gotta drive it and keep my beacons on, and I'm good for any state that I enter. I've got all my permits right up on the dash, so they're easy to reach. I don't gotta be fiddling around, like reaching behind my seat on the floor, whatever, trying to find them for if there's a scale or whatever. And I kind of know where scales are out here at this point. I've been down this particular route a couple of times. Anything else with the truck? I don't know. Basically, the whole idea about the truck is to try and keep everything with... Don't make it a harder load than it has to be. That's basically the whole concept with it, is trying to make everything like tucked inside of the load. We're talking like chains and flags, like even my flags on the front there. I got those set up so they aren't sticking out past my side mirrors. So I'm good on clearance as far as that goes. And I've seen people do some really stupid stuff. Like they'll take those flags that I got up front there with the sticks and everything, and they'll put those on the side of their load with the stick sticking way out past the load, and that, like, I don't know, it doesn't make any sense to me. It just makes the load harder to drive, and why make it harder than it has to be, you know what I mean? As far as the route for the oversized load goes, that is all on the permits. Don't for a second think that your company like sent you all the right route on your GPS or whatever, or they got everything set up correctly. Like that, all of that sort of stuff kind of falls back onto the driver. You're supposed to check over your permits and stuff like that. Sorry, got a bump there. You're supposed to check over your permits and stuff like that. Prime example of this is I have a fuel stop that they set up for me, which is way off the permitted route. And I told them, like, I'm going to need that adjusted. My permits are telling me to take a little bit different route. If you give me a different fuel stop, that'd be great. And they basically told me, you know, just keep going until you're to a certain fuel level, and then give us a shout, and we'll give it, or we'll look for something close by. And you know, that's good enough for me. Sounds good. See you later. I'm out of here. Gotta go. But yeah, the route on the permits. I mean, you can't see this right now, but I have got my whole route for today and actually Monday. It's Saturday today, but I'll explain in a second. I've got my whole route written out on my windshield, and you might be saying, how do you do that? Dry erase marker. Don't be using like a permanent marker or anything like that, because that ain't coming off. But like a dry erase marker, this is something that my trainer taught me, and I guess it's some old school stuff or whatever, but I don't know what it is, and I don't care, because it works, and it's nice, because I got all of my, like, every turn that I'm supposed to be making, every exit number, every road that I'm looking for, it's all written on my windshield, so I don't really have to be, you know, eyeballing permits and, like, taking my eyes off the road and being distracted with, especially with something like this. It's not a good idea. So, you got it all written right up there. Just take a glance over to the left, know exactly what you're looking for. Now, what the heck was I going to explain? I told you all that I was going to explain something. Oh yeah, that's what. This goes back to reading your permits. And I mean, if I wouldn't have read through my permits, I would have never realized this, and potentially bad things could have happened. And I don't know if this is like for a lot of states or whatever, but excuse me, there are some certain states in particular that don't want any oversized loads to be driven. Gotta make a lane change here. They don't want any oversized loads to be driven. Some of them on Saturday and some of them on Sunday. Prime example of this is the state that I'm going to be entering in probably 2 or 3 hours, maybe? I don't know. New York. New York, you can't drive on Sunday, and Connecticut afterwards, you can't drive. You can't drive on Saturday. It said you gotta drive within daylight hours of Monday through Friday, which they qualify as a half an hour before sunrise and a half an hour, is it after? No, it's probably before sunset. Something to that extent. But, okay, that's nice. You gotta turn down the radio a little bit. But yeah, you gotta pay attention to stuff like that. If I wouldn't have checked that out, and I would have just, oh Jesus, got some junk stuck in my nose, sorry. But if I wouldn't have checked that out, and then I would have just drove straight through and into Connecticut, and let's just say some trooper saw me and he was like, what do you think you're doing there, buddy? I would have been like, I'm taking this to Massachusetts, like, is there something wrong with that? And he's like, oh, let me see your permits. And then, you know, the problem would become very apparent very quickly. And, you know, that's, again, potentially fines, possibly points on my license. I don't know what the heck they do, but I ain't trying to figure it out either. So I just steer clear of all that. Read my permits thoroughly to make sure that I am not doing anything stupid. I don't want to be doing that. I guess that's kind of part of it. With this load, I don't usually have my CV on very often, but with this load I do. I've had it on the whole time while I'm driving, and I'm trying to get myself into a habit of doing that. Just, I think it's a good practice to do, but especially with an oversized load like this, it's kind of nice to, and I mean, no one's done this yet, but like if someone wants to be like, hey, oversized, I'm coming around you, watch out on your left side, and be like, oh, okay, thanks. Like, now I actually know that someone's coming around. Now, granted, no one has done that, but there was a potential for it. And like, traffic stuff, all sorts of stuff like that. Sometimes there's good chatter coming from the other side, letting people know what's going on, and chatter coming from ahead about stuff being slowed down. Which lane do we need to, or which lane is closed, yada yada yada, all that stuff. It's like an indication of traffic up ahead. You better watch your speed. And I mean, it's not the most, like, the traffic thing is not really my main concern as far as driving this load goes. It's pretty dang light, so no problems like slowing down or anything like that. If I was like well over gross, like 80,000 pounds, if I was well over that, then I'd be more worried about that, but not incredibly worried about it. What else do we got? There's got to be something else. I'm sure I'm forgetting something here. Oh, I guess that's kind of something. With permits and stuff like that, how I got my permits was the last two loads that I got, the permits were all faxed direct to the shipper that I was picking up the load from, which was really super nice. I had them all right there, and I basically staple them and put them in order, like right in order of the states that I'm going through, just so that it's easy to, okay, I passed that state, I don't need that permit anymore, but, I'm going to hang on to all of my permits just in case someone wants to check them out. You never really know. I haven't gotten pulled over or pulled into a scale and asked anything like that, so I might as well hang on to it just in case. But with this load, remember how I was saying that I got my permits for Minnesota through Ohio? And I didn't have any more permits than that. Jesus, excuse me. Didn't have any more permits than that. So before I got into Pennsylvania, where I am now, I had to stop at a truck stop and use their fax machine, and I didn't know if I had no idea. I'd never needed anything faxed from anyone to anywhere before. Like in this job, I've never needed that, so I didn't even know if they would have a fax machine. But nope, they had one right there, ready for drivers to use, and it was like $2 a page or something like that. It was pretty ridiculous, but I believe we get reimbursed for that. I believe we do. That would make reasonable amounts of sense if that was the case. What else? Yeah, permits faxed to truck stops. That's pretty much. Yeah, I don't know. That pretty much wraps it up as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure that there are other things that I'm missing that I just have no idea about, that, someone more experienced has a clue about. And I mean, if there is someone out there like that, I mean, just leave something like that in the comments. That'd be cool. everyone can learn something. But yeah, I guess that concludes it, doesn't it, boys and girls? So I will catch y'all on the next one. See you later. Bye bye.